starting off lesson 8.5, we will be factoring trinomials in the form of x squared plus bx plus c. Factoring is a process in which we take a polynomial and we break it down into two binomials. Factoring is the reverse of multiplication or double distribution. To help us factor, as in the factoring example below, we have x squared plus 8x plus 15. To help us factor, we have this factor tree, or this factor t. That is what's over here. Our goal is to find two numbers that both add to 8 and multiply to 15. So first we're going to write out the factors of 15, and the factors of 15 are going to go here on the left side of your t. So think of the first two factors that come to mind. Most of the time, it's going to be 3 times 5, and then 1 times 15. And then we may think we're done, but actually we have to remember our negative integers, where we take negative 3 times negative 5, and we get 15 as well. Right? In the same token, we can take a negative 1 times a negative 15 and get positive 15. Right? We want factors over here. All right, and then on the right side, we're going to add those two factors. We're going to find the sum. All right, the sum of 3 and 5, if we take 3 plus 5, we get 8. If we take 1 plus 15, we get 16. If we take negative 3 plus negative 5, we get negative 8. All right, do the same thing down below with negative 1 plus a negative 15. That gives us negative 16. So we look through the sum and we figure out which two numbers add to give us 8. Well, 3 and 5 add to give us 8. We can see that here. 3 plus 5 equals 8. And those are the only two numbers, the only factors we found that works. So then, in parentheses down at the bottom, we're going to write 2 parentheses because we need two binomials. Both our 3 and our 5 are positive up here. So we're going to write plus 3 plus 5. And then we think about what we could get. We factor the x squared, which gives us x times x. Because x times x equals x squared. The factoring of x squared gives us x times x. So our final answer is x plus 3 times x plus 5. And if we wanted to check that, to check it, we could use double distribution method. So to check, use double distribution or the box method. We can use both to check those. Okay, on to our next example, which is still on page 1 of the notes. At the bottom, we see x squared plus 11x plus 24. We want to find numbers that add to 11 and multiply to 24. So again, we're going to write our factors over here. So our factors of 24, always write down the first two that come to mind and then keep searching for more. So the first two that probably came to mind, and it's going to be different for everyone, is 4 times 6, or oftentimes 2 times 20, or 2 times 12 will give us 24. Then we have to remember 1 times 24. Sometimes those factors are overlooked. And then this one is often forgotten with 24. We want 3 times 8 still. Okay, but we aren't finished because we have to remember the negatives. So we also have a negative 4 times a negative 6. Remember, we want a positive 24, so both numbers have to be negative because a negative times a negative makes a positive. So then negative 12 times negative 2, negative 1 times negative 24, and negative 3 times negative 8. All right, and then we're going to find the sum. So we're going to take 4 plus 6, which is equal to 10. 2 plus 12, which equals 14. Once we get to 11 here, because we're trying to add to 11, technically we could stop. All right, and once you get really good at this, you won't even need this t-chart. So 1 plus 24, we get 25. 3 plus 8, that equals 11. We could keep going, but we know that we wanted something that added to 11. So that these two numbers, 3 plus 8 equals 11. So the factors are 3 and 8. And to write our answer, we're going to write the two parentheses. Both of them are positive, so we're going to have a plus 8 and a plus 3. And then separate your x squareds. So it's x times x. Again, we could check our answer by double distribution method or the box method. Okay, the next one I'm going to go through with you guys is on the top of page 2. So on the top of page 2, we have x squared minus 11x plus 24. We want to add to negative 11 and multiply to 24. The good news is we just listed all the factors of 24. So if we look back at that list, we have 4 times 6, 2 times 12, 1 times 24, 3 times 8. We want the negatives as well, so negative 4 times negative 6, negative 2 times negative 12, negative 1 times negative 24, and negative 3 times negative 8. I got really crooked down at the bottom there. All right, but then we have to find the sum. If you remember, all the top numbers down there, they were all positive. All right, 3 plus 8, that gave us 11. 1 plus 24, that gave us 25. So most likely, the numbers we're looking for will both be negative. So go down the negative list, and we have negative 4 minus a 6 gives us negative 10. Negative 2 minus 12, that's negative 14. Negative 1 minus 24, that's negative 25. Negative 3 minus 8, that is negative 11. All right, so that's what we were looking for. We were looking for the negative 3 times a negative 8. So the factors we need, negative 3, negative 8, write those in your parentheses. Okay, we're going to go through 2 more. The next one we're going to do together, we're going to skip the middle one on page 2. I would like you guys to do that one on your own. But the bottom of page 2, we have x squared plus 2x minus 15. It's the first time we had a negative number that we needed to multiply to. We need to add those numbers to get 2. So think of the factors of 15. If you think back to that first example, factors of 15, we had 3 times 5 and 1 times 15. But that doesn't give us a negative 15. So make one of these numbers negative. Negative 3 times 5, that's 15. Negative 1 times 15, that's negative 15. But it also works in the reverse. It works when the 5 is negative and when the 15 is negative. All of those will give us negative 15 if we multiply them. And then we need to find the sum. So negative 3 plus 5 gives us 2. That ran off the screen a little bit. And negative 1 plus 15 is equal to 14. 3 plus a negative 5 is equal to negative 2. And then I'm running out of space, so 1 plus a negative 15 equals negative 14. So looking at that, let me come up here and fix this. Negative 1 plus 15, that gives us a positive 14. It looks like a negative though, but it is positive. Okay, so looking at all our factors, the only one that works is that first one with negative 3. So we have x minus 3, x plus 5. Okay, one more example and then we are finished with the video, but you should still do these 2 example problems on your own. All right, so page 3, the bottom of page 3, this is actually the top. So actually, let's do the top of page 3. You'll do the bottom on your own. So the top of page 3, we have x squared plus 9x minus 36. So again, come up with numbers that multiply to negative 36. 4 and 9 came to my mind first. 4 times 9 gives us 36. But we need a negative. So let's make the 4 negative. Then also do the reverse. Make the 4 positive and the 9 negative. So 4 times negative 9, negative 36. And then we can keep going. So we have 12 times 3, make one of them negative, then switch where the negative sign is located. Next we have 6 times 6, so 6 times 6, make one of them negative. If we switch it, you're going to notice it doesn't really change much, but we'll still switch where the negative sign is looking. All right, the next one, we have 36 times 1, make one of them negative, and then 36, make one of them negative. So we're going to add, and we're going to keep in mind that we're supposed to be adding to get to 9. Once we get 9, we're going to stop with the list. So negative 4 plus 9 is 5. 4 plus a negative 9 is negative 5. Negative 12 plus 3, that's negative 9. 12 plus negative 3, that is 9. And that is what we're looking for. So the 2 factors that add to 9 are 12 and negative 3. So our answer is x plus 12. And notice how since we have a negative sign here, we're going to have x minus 3. And that's our last example for today.